Hi everyone, Pat here. Welcome to this week's market review. Welcome back to a series that I do here looking at the crypto market every Tuesday. If you are new here, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to keep up to date with all the videos I'm posting. This week we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, the DXY, Bitcoin Gold chart, and taking a look at the upcoming FOMC event and how we can navigate this for the week ahead. Let's get into the video. Quickly before I start, I want to remind you that this video is for informational purposes only and reflects my personal views. It is not financial advice, and always consult a qualified financial advisor before making investment decisions. We're going to start with Bitcoin as usual. I like to start on Bitcoin. One of the main things that moves the market, at least the crypto market, right? I want to quickly discuss the sort of daily downtrends and the breakouts that we've seen throughout this cycle. And you may have seen me comment on these breakouts before, as I have noticed this sort of structure and price action before and prior to this video, and it's something I've actually used to be a buyer on Bitcoin in the past, especially back here into September, here into July, and also down here into the April lows. All of these occasions I ended up buying BTC on a breakout and selling for some really nice profits. So, you know, obviously trend lines, or what I like to call them, meme lines, are very subjective. But for me, I tend to always draw the line to a body, right? So these trend lines and breakout lines, I like to draw them to the body. So one way you can actually do this is drawing them to the line chart. So what you'll find is that if you put any coin, in our case it's Bitcoin, in the line chart, you'll find that it's much easier to draw a trend line based on the fact that, for me, wicks are noise. They simply show where price attempted to trade rather than actually accepted or moved above, right? So what we can see is that if we look at multiple occasions where Bitcoin has actually seen a trend shift and a big breakout, it has come from this daily meme line breakout, right? So we can see here back in our March and April low, once that daily meme line was broken, right here, we got that daily close above. We can see how price eventually moved up. Again here, closed above the meme line, broke up, closed above the meme line, broke up. And you know, this goes back all the way back down to sort of March 2023, all the way back down to those lows, where if we look closer towards this period, we can see that it has the same effect, right? You know, I can mark them for you here. 3 points, 4 points, in fact, where Bitcoin was stuck in the downtrend. We get that break through the trend and the daily close above. You can buy the breakout, and it was the same again for here. So this cycle, it really has been as simple as buying the daily breakout. And in terms of looking for a move up, that is simply what I'm looking for. If we do get a daily breakout on Bitcoin, potentially a move above 94k as well, with a nice structure break above 94k, then we can most definitely be looking for a breakout back towards 102 to 108k. I think this is more than likely, especially if this daily downtrend breaks going off the back of prior sort of breakouts we've seen. So keep that in mind, keep an eye on this daily meme line breakout, and ideally we can utilize once this officially breaks it. So of course right now we are still stuck below this daily meme line, and the price action we are doing right now is showing me similarities to what we've done time and time again, like here and here, right, where we sort of see this flagging, this sort of bounce, right, and then we see this flagging into the meme line, and then we break down, right, bounce, see the flagging into the meme line and break down, bounce, flag into the meme line, break down. And if we go on the lower time frame, which I have marked out here, you can actually see that sort of coming into play. What sort of happens is Bitcoin breaks down, forms a range, starts flagging in this range, and then eventually you get the breakdown, right? Breakdown, range, flags, breakdown. And again, we're seeing the similar sort of price action here, right? So we're seeing this similar sort of flagging into range high again, and potentially, you know, in my eyes, I think the lows remain very vulnerable unless we see the daily start to break out and we get an official break of that daily downtrend. Then I will consider the fact that, okay, we can break out without potentially retesting the lows once again. After all, we are in range, right? We are in a composite, a 3-week composite, which we'll get onto shortly. But we are in range, and we're doing a similar thing yet again. It's a little concerning for people who are already long or bullish, but overall, I'm not writing off a scenario where we can sweep the lows one more time, and based off this structure and based off this range, you know, as until this daily breakout is given. And if it does give, then I will ape the breakout. I will look at long in the breakout, especially with FOMC tomorrow, which brings me on to my next sort of chart here, which is taking a look at FOMC and the previous moves we sort of had into FOMC, right? So marked on the chart is the past 3 FOMCs that we've had, 2 of which was a rate cut. And in both occasions, we can see prior to the rate cut, you know, 20 days prior to that rate cut, we saw Bitcoin bottom, right? And we get that move up. Following the rate cut, we eventually sold off. So essentially we were pricing in the rate cut, and we can see how price sort of rebalances on Bitcoin back down to where we were originally bottomed. Again, the same thing here, bottomed around 2 weeks before FOMC. We eventually had a rate cut and we still sold off. Obviously, the conference that happened back in October was not ideal in terms of they were skeptical on future rate cuts this year. And that leads me to sort of the next bounce, right? And we can see what I've got here marked on the chart with the green dot is when probability started to shift in terms of you know, a rate cut. And I'll put on the screen now the poly market probabilities. The 20th of November, the poly market probabilities was around 22%, now bouncing all the way up to 95%. And this green mark here was when the poly market probabilities started to bottom, and we can see BTC bottomed a few hours later. Again, bottoming, you know, 19 days before FOMC, again pricing in this rate cut right as probabilities have started to move up. So has Bitcoin, and the market is pricing in this rate cut again. The difference is this time, obviously BTC is now down, you know, 36, almost 40% off the highs. Whereas the past occasions, obviously we were trading in this summer range, and you know, you could say that we were somewhat overextended in some cases. So it'll be really interesting to see how we move into FOMC. Right now, with the chances of a rate cut being so high, obviously if there was no rate cut, then the market would react poorly to this. We could almost definitely see a move back down to 80k and below in the event that there is no rates cut. Trump has just come out saying that he expects rates to be cut, and the market is responding somewhat okay to this, like a, what is it, currently like a 1.5% move on that news. But he has been vocal on wanting and expecting a rate cut for quite a few months now. So overall, I will not directly be trading the FOMC event, but more interested about the price action that follows after it. If the market doesn't respond poorly and we get that daily breakout with a rate cut, we can almost guarantee a move back to 102 to 108k for BTC. Otherwise, I'm a little bit cautious of, even if we do get a rate cut, we see a move back down to rebalance this pricing in event that we've seen over the past 3 weeks now, and still forming a local bottom into 82k before getting that move back to 102k, which I want to discuss further now. So I still believe we are forming a local bottom down here on BTC for multiple reasons. I have covered them in my previous YouTube videos, so I don't want to cover them too deeply again here, but overall looking good for a bottom down here. I think that prices are very overextended on multiple timeframes, weekly, 3-day. Overall, BTC is looking at trying to trade back inside this developing quarterly value area low, and if we do accept back inside, we can expect to move back towards the VWAP at least. In terms of a long today, I'm looking for a sweep under 89,500 and a buy signal into this region, and with that we should also get a backfill of this weekend gap back towards this Friday close here at 89,360. I think that looks like a good spot to be a buyer down here if I get a good trigger on my VWAP system. I'm looking for a long into sort of 93k and bouncing into FOMC tomorrow. That would be a really nice trade to take. The opposing side is a short into 93k, but ideally we can long anywhere into 89,300 to 89k with a target of 93 prior to FOMC. That would be my optimal trade of the week right now. And you know, assessing the market following FOMC and the data we have tomorrow to reassess a new plan depending on where we trade and how we react to that data. Another reason why I think we are very close to a bottom, at least in terms of outperformance on Bitcoin against Bitcoin Gold, right? We're seeing this weekly divergence continuing to form down here on the BTC Gold chart. very, very overextended on that front. And I think gold is going into a bit of a period where it is going to consolidate up here. Something else I noticed right now, when we look at the rolling yearly VWAP for the BTC gold chart, so essentially the 365-day rolling VWAP, and we stick the 2.5 to 3 standard deviation bands on it, BTC gold chart is actually trading into this minus 2.5 to 3 standard deviation, which, if we look at the chart, is almost never been mitigated before. We basically touched it back here in the March low, which was the COVID drop. And if we continue to zoom out, there's been very, very, very few chances, if any, where BTC has traded into that minus 2.5 to 3 standard deviation on the rolling yearly VWAP. So very, very overextended on this front. And I do believe that with the rate cut, with weakening from the DXY back down to sort of 96, at least now as the DXY continues to trade below this $100 region, if the rates get cut and the DXY reacts poorly, along with that we see some potential rotation from gold into BTC, then we can definitely start to see a bounce on the BTC gold chart. With that, some outperformance from Bitcoin, at least back to 102k, which, if we get to 102k, is the main sort of area where we consider, okay, is this a bearish retest before making a lower low going into Q1 next year? Or do we reclaim here and look at targeting, 126 over Q1, right? And this area is going to be really important to see how we react, and from there we can consider what comes next for the market. But obviously right now it's way too early to tell. Another reason is the MicroStrategy chart, as I've commented on previously, forming some buy signals down here for me. But overall, I do think that we are forming a local bottom on BTC. Whether that local bottom is already in, I'm entirely unsure. And like I said, kind of betting on the fact that we do break down to form one more low before a breakout. And that would be my optimal scenario as we shake people out one more time. But optionally and openly, I'm not scared of buying a breakout above 94k if that's given. So to quickly wrap it up, Ethereum, I don't really have too much to comment on Ethereum. For me, needs a good break above 3,700, 3,600 to consider it to be bullish again. Personally looking for shorts on Ethereum into 34 to 3,500 for a swing short. That looks like the best scenario right now. Hype is kind of in the back of everyone's mind, but at the moment I've seen a lot of charts on Hype. Personally looking to buy Hype anywhere from 27 down to 23. That looks like a really good place to be a buyer on Hype. I read the Hype market report for the guys in Wealth Group a couple weeks back. So we're using that and utilizing that report to give us an outlook. The rough idea that was given in that outlook that we would see continuation lower for Q4 on Hype during Q4, and we are starting to see that and then continuing to see that, and I expect Hype to go to 27 to 23 before officially bottoming. Another chart I've got my eye on is Tau right now. I like the look of a Tau short into sort of 320 into this prior monthly value area low. If we don't get a trigger into here, then a reclaim above 320, I think Tau is going to trade back towards that developing quarterly value area high, even the developing yearly value area high. If you did like this video, then you can find much more of my content in the Wealth Group Discord. The link to join is at the top of the description. Like I said, looking to get long into about 89k with a target of 93. I'm buying a breakout on the daily above 94k. Otherwise, I'm waiting for fresh lows on BTC in terms of a swing trade. Looking at good to forming a local bottom. Everything is saying that we are super overextended and likely due some relief soon. That's everything for this week's Tuesday market review. Hope you guys enjoyed, and leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next week. Bye bye. Currently running a giveaway on my Twitter if you want to go and check that out. 3-month membership to get access to the Discord. Use steps which can be seen on the screen. I'm going to put the link to enter the giveaway at the top of the description. Hope everyone has a good Christmas, and I wish you a lot of luck.